Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of February 25, Tuesday. I'm Riza Diaz. Jumpstarting today's rush with senators digging deep into issues surrounding ABS-CBN's franchise renewal. Like an afternoon teleserye, the hearing involved testimonies of hope from employees and apology from the network's executives and a whole lot of questioning. Mayan Los Baños has the report.
In the network's 66 years of existence, ABS-CBN said it did not encounter challenges in the renewal of its franchise, at least not until now. This is only the third time that the media giant is applying for a franchise renewal, and it's proving to be a challenge. President Rodrigo Duterte has threatened time and again to take the network off the air after it allegedly failed to air his campaign ads in 2016.
Galit ba, Presidente, sa inyo? Kaya kayo nahihirapan? Hindi po namin alam talaga kung ano yung mga galit ng Presidente sa ABS-CBN, except po sa kung anong sinasabi niya sa mga speech niya tungkol sa ABS. Yun lang po yung alam namin na mga issue ng Presidente sa ABS-CBN.
Senator Bongo, however, said the network not only failed to play Duterte's campaign ads but also put on air a black propaganda against Duterte.
Paano po ito naging political ad? Are you promoting a candidate here or are you destroying a candidate? Hindi mababaw ang rason ng Pangulo sa kanyang grievances against the network.
ABS-CBN President and CEO Carlo Katigbak said that they were able to air all of the president's national ads worth 170 million pesos. But he admitted that out of the 65 million pesos spot for local ads bought by Duterte's camp, they failed to air some load worth 7 million pesos. The station refunded 4 million pesos but faced delays in returning the remaining 2.6 million pesos, which the president also refused.
We acknowledge our shortcoming in our failure to release that refund in a timely manner. And we corrected that so that in 2019, our policy is 7 days. If your spot is not aired, the check should be back with the client.
Regarding the propaganda material aired by the network, Katigbak explained that ABS-CBN has no political agenda and that the ad was sponsored by former Senator Antonio Trillanes.
We were sorry if we offended the President. That was not the intention of the network. We felt that we were just abiding by the laws and regulations that surround the airing of political ads. And I think today we want to make a categorical statement together with our chairman, Mark Lopez, that ABS does not and will not have its own political agenda.
In the end, Senator Bongo promised to vouch for ABS-CBN to President Duterte.
Kung ako po ang tatanungin, I will appeal to the President for the simple reason na ayaw ko na may mawalan ng trabaho.
At least 12 bills calling for the renewal of the network's franchise have yet to be tackled in the House. Reporting for News 5, Mayan Los Baños, we are One News.
The Justice Department, on the other hand, will no longer issue a legal opinion on ABS-CBN's operation as requested by the National Telecommunications Commission. Instead, the DOJ says they will be asking Congress to issue a joint resolution. This will be NTC's legal basis to provide a temporary permit for the network to operate once its franchise expires.
Rules nila yan ng Kongreso, how they're going to go about it. So at the very least, kung meron kang resolution, whether it's joint resolution or coming only from one chamber, ang mahalaga dyan, may pagbabatayan.
Malacanang took note of the network's public apology to President Duterte, calling it a long overdue move. Palace spokesperson Panelo says he is glad the network finally admitted to its supposed shortcomings.
Yung nga sinasabi ni Presidente, alam nyo na may atraso kayo. Ano bang may ginawa ba kayo? Wala. Yung nga tinatawag niya, hubris. Masyado kayong mayabang.
On the contrary, Senator Grace Poe commended the network's representatives for showing humility. The lawmaker said ABS-CBN was gracious enough to admit that they've made lapses, which for Poe warrants a chance to make things right. Poe is confident that her fellow lawmakers were convinced to support the extension of ABS-CBN's franchise.
One thing's for sure, at least in this discussion, more of the senators are convinced that if there are violations, and there are, that it does not necessarily merit a cancellation of the franchise.
GMA Network representatives were also present at the hearing to give their inputs, particularly on the issue of advertisements airing during the 2016 elections. ABS-CBN has admitted fault in failing to air some of Duterte's camp's ads while also releasing a controversial one sponsored by former Senator Antonio Trillanes. GMA's Vice President for Legal Affairs, Maria Luz Delfin, clarified that the same ad by Trillanes had not been aired on their network after being disapproved by its internal poll committee. She says she was referring to another political advertisement during the Senate hearing. The network's supposed violations were extensively discussed in yesterday's Senate hearing. Executives and workers alike defended the station and appealed for the protection of their livelihood. Marian Enriquez reports.
One of ABS-CBN's supposed violations was its alleged operation of a pay-per-view channel through free-to-air signals. The Solicitor General says the Kapamilya Box Office, or KBO, has no government permit. KBO allows subscribers special content for a 30 peso fee. But according to Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara, the franchise provision and commercial purposes is broad enough to allow pay-per-views, subject to any specific guidelines the National Telecommunications Commission, or NTC, may impose.
Dahil mas broad siya, ang naging interpretation doon ay pwedeng magkaroon ng iba pa na mga programa na kumikita ang ABS-CBN, hindi lamang doon sa advertising, etc. and other, but commercial, kasama na yung KBO. Tama po ba yun?
That is correct.
The NTC alleged that the network introduced a pay-per-view before the NTC can come up with guidelines.
Ano ang karampatang parusa sa ganon? Multa ba? Pagpapatigil ng operasyon o pagsasara ng prangkisa?
Actually, Your Honor, based on the Public Service Act, that would be just fine po.
Fine.
That's 200 pesos per violation.
ABS-CBN said it did not violate any provision of their franchise by offering the service.
30 pesos, it is a lot cheaper than paying for your pamasahe para pumunta sa sinehan. Or mas mura din po ito kaysa sa magbayad po kayo ng ticket sa sinehan. We feel that this is a public service that we've provided to our customers.
Napakaganda pakinggan pag ganun.
Ito po.
So I am one step closer to supporting your renewal of your franchise. With that answer, yung nga lang, kaya you have to be fair. Kinaklaro lang talaga natin kung violation ba ito o hindi.
In terms of tax obligations, the Bureau of Internal Revenue cleared ABS-CBN's name, saying that it has paid more than 14 billion pesos in taxes from 2016 to 2019. Another co-warranted complaint, ABS-CBN's alleged issuance of Philippine Depository Receipts, or PDRs, was also raised. PDRs are investment instruments that entitle holders to the shares of a company's profits. But SEC Commissioner Firo Amatong said that it's not only ABS-CBN which uses PDRs. More so, it does not, he emphasized, give ownership or voting rights.
Other listed companies or other companies that have foreign investors but are engaged in activities which are nationalized may also be affected.
Don't they have to follow the ruling also? Because apektado sila, hindi ho ba? So magugulo yung ating corporate sector, hindi ho ba, Commissioner?
That is correct, Your Honor.
ABS-CBN said its shutdown would affect some 11,000 employees, plus more than 6,000 security guards and janitors.
Nangamba kami kasi kung wala pong prangkisa ang ABS, kasama po kami mga manggagawa na nawalan din ng trabaho. Yun po, umunlad po ang buhay ko, ng pamilya ko, at lahat ng mga miyembro.
Kung mayroong mga hindi magandang sinasabi o mayroong mga katiwaliang naganap o ginagawa ang plataforma, meron tayong korte upang pag-usapan ang mga kahinaang ito. Hindi ang pagpatay o pagkitil
Question now is, can the network operate beyond the expiration of its franchise? For Secretary Guevara, ABS-CBN can still continue to practice even without a resolution from Congress. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Position papers are now being sought by the lower house on ABS-CBN's bid for a franchise renewal. The initiative may take form 1 to 2 months. That's according to lawmakers who are set to adjourn in less than 3 weeks. Ria Fernandez has the story.
This sets in motion the House panel's proceedings on the network's franchise renewal. Stakeholders were asked to submit their position papers, be it in support or in opposition of the renewal. A submission, though, does not guarantee an immediate hearing on the franchise, as clarified by Committee Chairman Franz Alvarez.
I believe, Mr. Chair, na yung position paper is with the purpose of simplifying the issues. Para mag-gather ng committee yung mga issues that pertains to the renewal.
Tama po, para pagdating ng hearing, formal hearing po talaga, organized po tayo, hindi po magiging magulo.
The committee will accept papers within 1 to 2 months. After reviewing the positions, that's the only time that the panel can schedule a franchise hearing. Congress will go on a break on March 12. Recall that if it were up to House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, the hearing will happen in May or much later in August after the President's State of the Nation address. He said the franchise should be approved based on merits and should stem from a sober discussion. Both Cayetano and Alvarez assured that ABS-CBN can operate even if the franchise's validity lapses.
Assuming na pwede pa mag-operate ang ABS since merong mga precedent before and wala nakikita ang committee na dahilan na para patigilin ng ABS.
Nung sinabi namin hindi magsasara, yan ang paninindigan namin. Kung kailangan physically ako mag-on ng transmitter o pumunta doon.
Alvarez will also look into the possibility of writing the National Telecommunications Commission to secure ABS-CBN's provisional permit, but he said that there's been no need to do it in past franchises. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, we are One News.
The Department of Health is still tracking people who came in contact with the first 3 COVID-19 positive cases in the country. But the agency admits they are struggling due to limited information. Marisol Halili with the details.
South Korea is the country's top tourism market. Last year, about 1.9 million Koreans visited the country. They were also the top spenders among international travelers here. But with the interagency task force mulling a travel ban on South Korea amid the spike in COVID-19 cases there, the tourism sector might take another blow.
Siyempre, tinitingnan natin yung exposure risk ng ating mga kababayan who are currently working dun sa South Korea. And then of course, ang exposure risk din natin dito sa bansa.
So far, there are no Filipinos in South Korea who has the virus. But the Department of Foreign Affairs still advised overseas Filipino workers to follow the Korean government's guidelines to avoid the virus.
Yung lahat ng non-essential travel, kung pwede hong ilimita na lang ho, at wag din ho siguro dumalaw sa mga malalaking public gatherings.
About 400 Filipinos in the cruise ship were supposed to be repatriated over the weekend, but it was postponed to Tuesday.
The results of all the tests of the crew members were not yet ready. It was decided to move the date of repatriation to early this week.
Once repatriated, all of them will be transferred to New Clark City in Capas-Tarlac for a 14-day quarantine period. Meanwhile, the Department of Health and the Philippine National Police continue the contact tracing for those 3 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country. For the Chinese couple who were the first to contract the virus here, only 67% or 297 people out of 400 have been traced. 221 of them have been quarantined. While from the third case, only 67% or 172 out of the 225 contacts were traced.
Kahit na nakatulong na natin ng COMELEC, nakatulong na po natin ng ibang ahensya, and because yung listahan po na ibinigay nila, no, yung mga detalye nila na ibinigay ay talagang incomplete or erroneous, kaya hindi na ho natin sila mahanap.
For News 5, Maricel Halili, we are One News.
No new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the Philippines in the last 24 hours. We have one new PUI, though, bringing the total number of persons under investigation at 609. 126 of them are still admitted in hospitals, while close to 500 have been discharged. Worldwide, though, both the total confirmed cases and the resulting deaths continue to balloon. A bulk of these are still in mainland China, but South Korea is nearing the 1,000 mark in terms of confirmed cases. Here are the biggest stories from the dailies. Filipino Star ngayon reports that the Health Department is considering extending the 14-day quarantine period. Filipinos returning from COVID-19 affected countries may soon be asked to self-quarantine longer. This amid reports that the incubation period for the virus could last for over 2 weeks. Malaysian Mahathir Mohamad has resigned as the country's prime minister. Philippine Star reports that the shock move came after 24 hours of political drama, including speculations that Mahathir was forming his own coalition that would exclude his supposed successor Anwar Ibrahim. Mahathir is considered the world's oldest statesman at 94. And this from Pangmasa, the PNP has no permit, no rally policy for the 34th anniversary of the ESDA People Power revolution. Around 5,000 uniformed men have been deployed to enforce this policy today. This as veterans of the February Revolution prepared to commemorate the event through simultaneous gatherings at the Ninoy Aquino's statue in Paseo de Rojas in Makati and at the People Power Monument in EDSA, both at 8 o'clock today. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.